What's going on? Welcome back to Fanatic Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Fisker. Over the last 24 hours, there has been an immense amount of updates. But I want to go over what was submitted late last night and what that means for current Fisker investors. Before I get into any of that though, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right to it. So starting off, they did submit a 8K late last night, and it does say on March 25th, 2024, the New York Stock Exchange notified Fisker that the New York Stock Exchange had determined to immediately suspend trading in the company's Class A common stock, and that is due to abnormally low trading price levels pursuant to section 802.1 or 01D of the New York Stock Exchange Company Manual. So unfortunately, as of today, they are off the New York Stock Exchange and on the OTC under new ticker FSRN. So if you are a current investor or were a current investor of Fisker under FSR, your broker will be getting new shares of this probably today, sometime today if they haven't already. So again, some things for you to keep in mind. If your broker doesn't allow OTC trading, you'll be able to sell your shares, but essentially though, you won't be able to buy anymore. So depending on where you hold your Fisker shares, you kind of have to take that into consideration. I know all this did happen very fast, but again, just something for you to keep in mind as of today. But on this 8K as well, it kind of gets a little bit worse, but it does say due to the delisting, it will trigger a requirement to offer to repurchase our unsecured 2.5% convertible note due 2026, as well as will cause an event of default under our senior secured convertible note due 2025. And as of right now, they do not currently have sufficient amount of cash reserves. So this thing, the whole scenario is very, very bad because even based off of that 8K that came out on the 18th, they had 89.01 million in cash and cash equivalents. And so that payday loan as well from the 18th is gone because negotiations are kind of out of the window now. So they are very strapped for cash. And plus they have to pay back these notes. And any company that needs liquidity, if they are under the OTC exchange, they're going to have an immense amount of difficulty. So with them saying yesterday that they are going to be pursuing kind of a restructuring, which is under the bankruptcy aspect, so Chapter 11, like no creditor essentially will want to restructure. They'll just want to take them to bankruptcy. But that's just my own opinion, of course. I am not a financial advisor. So definitely that does throw kind of a wrench into the whole mix. But essentially, a lot of people are asking, how can the New York Stock Exchange just immediately kick off a company? And so when it comes down to the New York Stock Exchange, or just for a bigger fact, like any exchange, what they do is they look at what is the risk to the public, the general public, because that's their priority, right? They want to ensure the safety, or at least the best to their ability. They want to protect the safety of the public. And so, for instance, if Fisker does a reverse stock split, what is the likelihood that they're going to fix their deficiency? As I said in my video yesterday, I felt the 1 for 50 wasn't satisfactory. But beside the point though, normally when a company is given a delisting notice, it does state that they have 10 days to kind of let the New York Stock Exchange know their plan, and they need to kind of kick it into full gear, which most companies end up doing, right? But Fisker, they sat on this. They only submitted their preliminary 14A yesterday. So like Fisker management, they dropped the ball. So that's one thing as well that New York Stock Exchange no doubtably had to factor in, just the fact that Fisker is delayed on their earnings and has been in the previous past, and plus the fact that it just poses too much of a risk to the population or the public, so they had to kick them off. So as bad as that sounds and everything else, it was very much needed. So let me know your thoughts on that. Fisker was one of those rare scenarios that they actually did get delisted while on the threshold list. So at the time of them getting delisted, 25.25% of the free float is being shorted, and shorts were increasing at the time 954,000 shares. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, like, what the hell happened in that scenario? Do they have to cover? Is there going to be a short squeeze? Well, if you kind of look at Fisker, so keep in mind OTC is very delayed, and right now it looks like it has already dropped from around 9 cents to 3 cents. So this is going to be a bloodbath. But this abnormal activity right here, this was market makers kind of covering so that whole threshold list. So a lot of the deficient ones systems. So again, that has been rectified, and you can kind of tell that based on here. When it comes to OTC companies though, it is very difficult to get updates for shorts. So most likely you won't be able to get daily updates on what is happening with shorts. Are they going to get in? But again, there's a lot of different scenarios that is going to play out in the foreseeable future. No doubtably, you are going to see a lot of news associated to restructuring and kind of them begging for money, which will cause a little bit more of an additional death spiral. So let me know your thoughts on Fisker. Have you been, or do you plan on buying more under the OTC, or are you done? Like, what is your thoughts, for instance, on this right here and then getting delisted? Because I do see quite a lot of people asking kind of how can the New York Stock Exchange legitimately do this. So I think right now Fisker does need to just do a restructure and possibly just beg for any company just to kind of take them over and their debt, their current debt and everything. So it's a very crappy scenario for current investors. And that also begs the question, what do you do if you have options? Because technically though, like options is not a kind of a scenario or a viable option, if that kind of makes sense, under OTC. So if you actually did have options, regrettably, they are going to be worthless. So unfortunately, you won't be able to get any yield from that. If you did buy puts, for instance, you can always contact your broker and they can try to figure something out. But again, that might actually be working in your favor. So I don't know how that's going to really work out. But no matter what, you do have to contact your broker. But going forward, there won't be any more Fisker options. And I know a lot of you want to know, like, couldn't they just go to the NASDAQ, or couldn't they just get relisted on the New York Stock Exchange? Well, NASDAQ, no matter what, whatever scenario exchange they want to go on in the foreseeable future, if they do fix their issues, they have to still qualify. So for instance, the New York Stock Exchange and I believe the NASDAQ both require a $4 bid price. So they'll have to do a reverse stock split or just grow naturally in the next couple of years or whatever. And then as far as revenue and the many other aspects, they just have to meet the criteria. So essentially, just to not give you guys hope or anything, but if Fisker does fix their issues and they don't go belly up, then yes, they could go to the NASDAQ in the foreseeable future, dependent on them meeting the qualifications. But I don't want to give you guys hope. Like I've said for the last several months, I do not think that Fisker is going to make it, as bad as that sounds, because just them needing their financials are just a complete wreck. And if they were to have stayed on the New York Stock Exchange, then yes, I would say that a restructuring could work, but under the OTC, it's good as gone, unfortunately. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And this is, again, probably a lot of people are thinking that this is why you do see a lot of volatility, and maybe shorts are the ones that are buying this, because right now I can't really logically see anyone wanting to or willingly buy OTC right now. So whatever, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And even though Fisker is doing all the craziness that they do, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with 𝗪𝗜𝗧𝗛, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. To take advantage of this, link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.